Well, hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Super exciting for you to join us today. On the docket, I've got Scott Wagner from Mayor. Am I sharing my screen? You guys are gonna get like a hint of how many times I start over my recordings.
I've seen some of those videos, Jay.
And we start again. I'm super excited today to introduce Scott Wagner and Grant Smith from Mayor and Sweetwater Sound, respectively. And we're here to talk about your career with Domo. Not just like your personal career, but like what your organization can do with Domo and how your relationship with the platform and what you're doing with it can change over time. Hit me.
Sure. Yeah, I've been with Mayor for about 13 years. We've had Domo for about 4. I'm not a traditional IT guy. I come from the business. I was in operations before I took on the Domo role at Mayor. I'm a team of 1. And
wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I think we'll expand on that some more. I do have some help, but I don't have anybody directly reporting to me today.
Wicked.
And I wanted to say this from the onset here. You know, we've all talked previously in the dojo, and I feel like we're doing a little karate in the garage today. So
Yeah.
Should be fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Grant, what about you?
So I've been with Sweetwater for almost 2 years now, and pretty much the same time that I joined Sweetwater is when we started to hop on Domo, and we've been quickly growing the usage throughout the company since that time.
And I'm from the UK, so I've never heard of either of your companies. That's a lie. I've heard of Sweetwater Sound because I do need to buy some equipment for my YouTube channel. But how big are your organizations, roughly-ish?
So Mayor is one of the largest regional electrical supply distributors in the Southeast United States. We're based in Birmingham, Alabama. We've got about 1,300 people, and we're about $1 billion a year business.
Sweetwater is one of the world leaders in online retail for musical equipment. So Sweetwater.com, we sell anything from guitars to keytars to home audio equipment, all that stuff.
Well, thanks for joining again, guys. So one of the first questions I wanted to hit you with was this idea of like who actually used Domo at your organization. When you go through the Momentum Consulting project with Domo, we talk about the executive sponsor, the major Domo, and the technical specialist as these like different types of personas. The executive sponsor usually being that person who brought Domo into the organization, that person who signs the check, that person who sets the strategy for how you're going to use data at your org, but they're not necessarily the person who's like boots on the ground writing an ETL. The person writing the ETL, the nerd, right? The guy like me is going to more likely be your technical specialist. And then your major domo is kind of like a product manager or a project manager who's kind of wrangling all of the people, making things happen, and getting support, removing blockers and that sort of thing. And I guess my question for you guys is, do those kind of personas still hold up at your organizations? Scott, you said you've had Domo for a while. Has it kind of changed or expanded over time?
Yeah, we really started out with, you know, like I mentioned, I'm a team of 1. So I was serving the role of the major Domo and the technical side while I learned. I did have help from our IT department, but our executive sponsor in the beginning was our president. Really, he was the one that was kind of driving that culture. And it's funny, I started out, I reported to the CIO, who then became our chief digital officer, and now I report to the CFO. So we've had a couple different executive sponsors along the way, and really all of them now are supporting Domo. But in addition to the roles you have on screen, you know, we took a cue from a white paper that Brent Dykes wrote on the road to data-driven transformation.
Yeah, I think I've got that here somewhere, maybe. Yeah. This guy.
That's it. In our second year really is when this started to take shape, and we added the Domo master role. And for us, that's associates in our business that work in a department or function.
Mm-hmm.
An example of that is we have an associate in our accounting department, Nathan Haar. He's an accountant. He's an accounting manager at Mayer, and he has the rights to create cards in Domo, and he's done a fantastic job of driving adoption in that department and really been an agent of change in how they do their work.
Mm-hmm.
Really transformative. We also have a few other Domo masters in different departments, and I'm cultivating the next Domo masters with Domo team champions. There are those advocate users within departments who we haven't yet given more rights in Domo, but they are, again, helping teach the team, helping me understand their needs, and again, learning Domo on a more advanced level for the next step.
That's super cool. Quick question. If you think about roughly at the end of year one with Domo, how many people would you say were logging into Domo, let's call it regularly, whatever that is, and then at the end of year year 6, I guess kind of years 3 and 5, how has that kind of grown, would you say, in terms of adoption?
And you know, I have all that data.
I know you do.
I do. In the first year, we probably had 25 users, and most of those were our senior leadership team. And I was trying to roll it out down the organization. So we went to district managers and branch managers and so on. So at this point, when we started doing this, we probably had about 100. And it was very much bottom-up driven thinking. You know, someone would say, hey, I have a report, and we would go build it. And it became more strategic in year 2 when we started thinking about these roles and the silos of how to strategically deploy Domo to address our overall business challenges or what we wanted to accomplish. And it really started to take hold. And right now I've got about 770 users, and adoption and the participation in Domo is just going exponential in the last year and a half or 2 years. So we have on the order of 4,000 hits a day, you know, card views. And there isn't a day on the calendar where there's not activity.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you're a party of one. It's amazing.
You know, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I think that's pretty good. It's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's credit to Domo and how easy it is to really mobilize and get things going. And now it seems like, I said this to my boss a couple of weeks ago, you know, in the beginning, I was still learning a lot. And today I'm not afraid of anything. We could do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I may need some help from a Jay or, you know, Grant, somebody in the dojo, or go hire a real consultant like Jay and get some real technical things done if we want to go into data science. That's the real frontier for us. Is we want to go predictive. We want to get more harness the true power of the forward-looking analytics.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What about you, Grant?
So when we started with Domo, I think we had about 50 people, 50 users. And as of today, I think we're up to about 250. So kind of increasing 200 users over a year, which has been really exciting. And for me, because I came in so ground level essentially with Domo when Domo was being rolled out, I ended up wearing pretty much all of those hats, except for the executive sponsor. But being a major Domo master, data specialist, team champion, doing all of those. Technically, how we have it set up is we have our IT team controls all of Domo, but we have set it up so there's like a hub and spoke kind of a model is what we called it.
Yeah.
Where each department has their own sort of team champion or Domo master over there, and so they are sort of the Domo point of contact. So for me, I'm technically on the marketing team. And so I am sort of that Domo master, team champion, data specialist. So having to know all of that data, having to be able to understand Domo at a very minute detail level to be able to implement things how we would like to implement things, but also then driving those different projects is been fun and very interesting. And right now I am also a team of one in my department. We do have, you know, several other people in those different departments, also sort of a team of one. But it's been really helpful and really easy to get a lot of those other people up to speed within Domo, and utilizing Domo to spin up those cars and those metrics within the system, and to be able to help out those other teams. And it's actually proven to be quite efficient in getting more user adoption on the Domo platform.
I can't say it, and like I remember when I started working at Domo. So my background prior to coming to Domo was I did built data warehouses for small and medium-sized companies. And so for me, it was like I'm reading books on Kimball and Inmon and like what's the best way to style your staging database and all of this like really technical nerdy crap. And then I come over to Domo and they're like, Jay, you should use drag and drop ETL. And I was like, absolutely not. I learned SQL for a reason. But then as I start working on these projects for Domo clients, what really struck me was how quickly somebody can come at me with a use case and say, this is what we want to do. And then within 15 minutes, assuming you have the right credentials, your data's in Domo. And then, you know, someplace between a day to 3 days later, we've got a proof of concept ETL and some cars and dashboards that we start stitching together. And just the ability to turn around and just bang, hit that use case, knock it out the park, hopefully, and then iterate on it very quickly is just like, I would say something unparalleled in any of the other platforms that I've worked with. And I guess, Scott and Grant, as you're thinking about these hub and spoke models, do you find yourselves still being like the bottleneck as a team of one or very few? Do you find yourselves as the bottleneck towards adoption, or do you see other people jumping into that data specialist role and being able to build without necessarily having to have 10 plus years of SQL development under the belt?
Yeah, you know, that's the conversation we're having really all the time, is how do we continue to grow the capabilities and scale what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because we realize as much success as we've already had, there's so much more to be had. You know, that I'll be honest, in the beginning, my boss was pushing me to do more of this, and it made me uncomfortable because, you know, it's, you know, when you build things, and even things like programming, there's a lot of creative energy and put into that, and ownership. And I always look at it, they're like my ugly babies. Nobody's going to love them like I do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of letting go you have to do in that, to take somebody and make them a major Domo and watch them really go with it and make something really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy I mentioned earlier, I could not have done what he's done because I don't understand what he understands. And I know there are more people like that. I told my boss the other day, I said, I want in any meeting we have at Mayor, when someone says, hey, we need this, that there's someone at arm's length who can deliver it within a day. Because it's so, like you said, it's shockingly easy to go from concept to deployed solution with Domo. There are a few exceptions where I don't have to sandbag a little bit just to make sure it doesn't look too easy. Most things we could do now, it's honestly just someone calls me and says, hey, you know what I'd like to have? And then the same day, we've got it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I guess that takes us to our next question. Interesting segue. How to impress your boss. I remember I was learning a little bit of data science. I was doing a little bit of natural language processing. And I felt really proud of myself because I worked all night just about to build this solution. I showed it to the sales guy and I was like, look at this really cool, what was it? Levenstein, look at this really cool Levenstein distance formula that I implemented using just MySQL and Magic. How cool is that? And he's like, Jay, what am I looking at? This is garbage. It's like, go away, you're terrible. But it taught me that, you know, I have to reframe how I talk to the business about data, because it's not, nobody cares about data. People care about solutions. People care about digital transformation, whatever that is. So I guess are there any big pivots in the way you think about talking and dealing with stakeholders at your organizations?
Numbers don't mean anything. You have to have sort of the emotion or the story behind those numbers for it to make sense. You know, because you can just look at a whole bunch of numbers like, what is this that I'm looking at? I don't know. And so giving that context, giving that story, and helping to drive that whole process, and understanding of that data. It's like, oh, look, by using this data, then we can see that, yes, this is sort of the cause and effect of that. Really helps sort of drive those metrics and those things home. Yeah, Jay, you and I could probably geek out on the dojo saying, oh, hey, look at this really cool thing we did with this data transformation, which is awesome. And Domo can do this. It's great, right? But it depends on your audience, and you have to really understand your audience and how deep into the weeds they want to get. Sometimes it's just, I just need a simple chart and graph and great. Hey, this is amazing. We didn't have this insight before. Now I can just play around with it in Domo and we've got all this insight.
Yeah.
One thing that I've done was having to do some funky backend stuff within Domo to give kind of like a snapshot view of how some giveaways are doing. And
some giveaways,
is
product giveaways.
Some just giveaways on our website saying, hey, I want to enter for this product. And so, trying to then take that data and saying, is this a good investment of our time and our money? And being able to take that and to go through this crazy complex ETL that I wrote, which nobody really cares except for me.
I care.
And Jay too.
I want to see it.
But being able to then have maybe a non-technical person go in and say, hey, here's this data. I'm going to then email it to Domo. Domo's going to spit back out for them to say, hey, look, based on this specific giveaway, right, when they first entered, this is how many new customers we got, or this is how much they purchased with us. Was it valuable? Did it drive business to us? And then what we do is that it keeps taking snapshots week after week, so we can say, hey, is this actually continuing to drive people, or is it just mostly just like a quick thing that we get? So do we need to run for longer, for shorter? And it's actually been a huge success for our digital marketing team to be able to take that data and make good business decisions on that. And to be able to say, yeah, we can actually spend, XYZ more money to help drive more business because it is indeed profitable for us.
Were the sweepstakes new, like a brand new thing that you started with Domo, or did Domo just kind of confirm your suspicion that it was a good value for your organization?
Well, we didn't really have any confirmation either way, but the giveaways have been around for years. And we're just trying to figure out, well, how can we invest our money more wisely, especially in this age of COVID, and coming to realize that, hey, yeah, this Domo was able to tell us and give us definitive answers to say, yes, this actually is good idea to do and a good idea to pursue. Exactly.
Yeah, I love and hate that word digital transformation, right? It's one of those buzzwords people use, but when you think about like being able to provide a new product or service in the land of Amazon, it is really intriguing to see like what organizations have to do to retain that competitive edge. And I think, Scott, you were talking about how you guys were kind of trying to revolutionize your business using Domo.
Yeah, we're a 90-year-old business.
90,
yeah. For the longest time, we were, we sold electrical components, and our industry is transforming into more smart products, lighting that has sensors, and you would not believe all the change that's happening. But for us, it's revolutionary in the way our customers interact with us, what they value, and what we need to offer to really survive in the long term. So we're constantly looking for ways to innovate and inform our people. And, the role of information in the future is huge. I could probably give you 10 examples of things that just have been, like you said, from my perspective, transformative, but they're all linked around the idea that we've always had this data for how many years, but we've never really had an effective way to use it. One of the examples that comes to mind for me, we have because of COVID this year, we decided to not do our physical inventory process, which is people might consider a super spreader event where you bring everybody in and you count everything over a weekend. Yeah, we decided not to do that, but instead do a cycle count process, which most of our locations don't have much experience with at all. And that's where we're actively doing business. They're actually counting the inventory in a live environment versus we shut everything down and count it in a very stable environment. And I built a page in Domo to help them monitor and plan what they have to do, how many counts per day they need to do to be finished on time, where they stand with the counts. And it has kind of a gamification look where you can see who's done already and
Hmm.
who's behind and who's right in the middle.
Right.
And anything from that to, we have our senior leadership team every morning, they start with there's a page I built for president's key metrics.
Hmm.
And as COVID started, there were a few things they sprinkled in with cash flow, and then there were some more things we looked at with projected sales, and then we put the Domo COVID dashboard. There's a link to that, and then as hurricane season started, we got that out there.
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
yeah, it's really kind of formed into this. It's their morning coffee every day. They get in there together and kind of look at what's the state of affairs, what's going on, is there anything we need to react to now?
Hmm.
And we have that for our highest level of the organization. And then just recently, I rolled out something for the associates that actually enter orders every day. It monitors, I think it's 14 different key metrics or components of what they do for things that they need to act on. So it's
Right.
very based in prescriptive analytics that says, hey, here's a customer PO that you've had out there and it's 60 days old. The expertise they need to develop to run all those reports, there's just no way we're going to be able to do that as an organization. But if they have a card or they can pull it up on their phone and see, oh, here's what I need to do, and then just move on with their day,
Yeah.
it's just huge.
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with one of the managers over at Domo here in the UK, and he was talking about, like, we are confident that making XYZ number of phone calls turns into XYZ opportunities, which turns into XYZ number of dollars. So clearly the thing to do is make sure that we're making the right number of phone calls. And so they are able to track through Salesforce, the Salesforce connector into Domo. They have a card that says, this person has made 15 phone calls today, this person has made 7. And you're like, you don't want to be the person who's made 7 calls, right? And I think it's super cool. Like, as an analyst, like as a nerd, right, it's really fun to just look at data for data's sake, but to have a to-do list or something that says, hey, you need to take this action today, right now, in a card or dashboard, I think that's, God, I sound like a fanboy, but it's pretty cool.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. And so now, kind of the last thing I wanted to touch on in this call was this idea of your career or your growth in data, in Domo, especially if you're some kid fresh out of college. Like, what can I do with data, or why do I need to learn about Domo?
Yeah, for me, I'll tell you, kind of look at my own history. I mentioned I'm not an IT guy. I had to learn a lot along the way, but I'm an admitted Excel geek. That may be a good example of pick a platform and really invest in learning, because I don't think any of us know what's going to happen in a year, but the basic capabilities and then also the curiosity around information or data is really foundational to all of that. That I think that's what positioned me where I am, is that, I understand the business, but I also understand enough about the data to figure out where it fits. So, an example in our organization, I mentioned we're changing. We have a young credit analyst who really showed aptitude for data. He works in a group that has countless people with 25 plus years experience in the company. And he's really been a standout and is our Domo master in that group, and has really, again, transformed the way they manage our cash flow in our open AR. And she's really he had the right skill set at the right time and the willingness to participate.
I think for us, we've had a lot of individuals, I think, really just hop on the Domo platform to be able to play around with that data and really sort of get that bug of, hey, this is really cool. What is this data going to tell me? Our new state of the art warehouse that we have, and we've done a lot of Domo in there, and being able to utilize a lot of those people and a lot of the gamification that we have to help display how everyone's doing in terms of metrics and performance and things like that. And that is really possible because we have all of those key Domo team captains there to help drive that and really to help open up those doors for them. We've had several people kind of move around teams and being able to utilize their knowledge and grow their knowledge in those areas because they got their foot in the door and playing around with the data, right? And so it's more just like a toy essentially, and a fun toy for them to play with. To then be able to kind of help advance their career. It's like, oh, hey, I didn't know this was an option for me. Now I know it is. It's been really great to kind of see a lot of those people grow in those areas.
In the dojo, it's been pretty sweet to like just see the different types of personalities and the types of personas walking through the door. Like we started talking about executive sponsor, major domo, data specialist, and we talked about Brent's expanded model of that. It's really cool when we think about people like Martin, who's like, you know, he wants to learn app development. He wants to build apps using JavaScript, React, whatever. And because he has Domo, he has an infrastructure where it can be hosted, and he can like whip up something that he can show to the business and say, hey, we built this custom app that does bring value to the organization. Or I was working with a kid, I think he was like I'm so much older than him. I am. Oh God, he's like 24 or something, fresh out of uni. And he came in to work on the sales team. And then he's in a position where he's like, you know what, I would really like to be a consultant and just help businesses solve complicated problems, because I'm fascinated by the problem, not necessarily interested in the process. But Grant and Scott, to your points about like using gamification for the line of business workers, you can use Domo to create just a competitive environment that reinforces good behavior for people who have to stick to a process. So it's just, I don't know, I'm gushing now, I need to stop, but it's really cool to just like think about all the different ways you can use Domo, not just like as a nerd or as a developer or as a sales guy, but just to really, I don't know, build a career in data in very different ways.
You know, and there's something in that, Jay, that there's a lot of satisfaction. I know you all will relate to this. When you make something work, you know, even if it's the first time and it works, or you've tried for days and days and finally you get it to work.
Yep.
There's that little nerd fist bump we all do. It's success. It's so contagious. You know, once somebody sees that, I don't know how else to describe it. It's you're hooked once you have that first win.
Yeah. Yes.
Really
once you have the first win, that's it. And it doesn't matter if it's like writing an ETL or just getting a project or product across the line where you're like, we delivered value for the organization. It was worth 500,000 a year. Maybe we can unlock $1 million a year if we just tweak what we're doing a little bit. Yeah. Love that.
And the great thing too is that with Domo that we found is that bar of entry is just so low, and it's so easy to get people on board to then be able to get their first win and sort of get that taste of that sweet victory of, you know, I completed this Domo project. It's been great.
Cool. No doubt. Guys, I really appreciate you making the time to come talk to me. I can speak English. I really appreciate y'all making the time to talk to me. I would like to wrap this up. Are there any last thoughts, words of encouragement, ideas that you want to share with the YouTube channel before we close out?
I'll go ahead and just say to both of you guys, a big thank you. You both helped me directly and indirectly. And Jay, you know, I admit I do watch all your video all the way to the end. So when you look at your analytics and it says how many made it to all the way to the end, that's me.
That's you.
There's always those little things I pull out of there that help me. And it's really more than anything about just what's possible. And I think that's what we're talking about here at the end, is it proves to people that, hey, we could do this, we could do the next thing. Let's just keep pushing.
I think a lot of my growth has actually come from the dojo and watching a lot of your videos, Jay. So it's been very beneficial in kind of both of those places to be able to learn and to really kind of be where I am now today because of that.
I can't wait for COVID to end so we can all get together and grab a beer. For those of you who don't know anything about the Domo community, you can always go to dojo.domo.com. And this is where the three of us met each other, kind of going through, looking at questions and seeing who answered. Has there been an answer posted yet?
Oh, wait, I'm on it. Hang on.
Okay, great. Get it. Yeah, thanks so much for joining, guys. I'm a freelance consultant through my company, Onyx Reporting. We hope you got some good content out of this, some good value out of it. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm shares it with the world, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.